Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 952 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by JD Raider, Ben Funky Askren, and Shane Sparks. Ben, I called him an industry professional last time. He's totally unprofessional. We said he had hot mics, and hey, you need to confess to your wife you swore again. You said you weren't going to swear on the show.
No,
you did again.
That wasn't on the show. It was before the show.
No. It was everyone in the chat heard you. Ben.
No, there's no way they heard that.
Ashby Diaz.
There's
Ben,
no way.
We all heard you curse.
Ben, in big matches, you hear a lot of guys talking about where they lose the match. They didn't have a good warm up. You messed up.
Can't lose the match. We can't lose the match before you start the match.
You lost. This is an L, Ben.
You lost.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was reading up some articles, and I just didn't want to say anything that I shouldn't be saying. As I'm reading the article, and I'm grateful that the producer let me know that there was a hot mic situation going on, and we're good to go. Let's do the show.
All right, we're gonna do the show.
It could have been worse. Matter of fact, it probably has been worse at times. I think we're doing great today.
Yeah. Ben humbly thinks he's doing great. All right. Shane is here. Shane texted me yesterday that he's fired up for the show. Which I said, finally, this guy's excited about something. That would be a first. So, Shane, what's got you so excited for today?
So I would say this. This show is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Full disclosure, I don't do a ton of prep for this show. It's a bunch of buddies talking wrestling. So with that being said, I show up. JD does a really good job putting together like a run of show, but the reality is it usually takes anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute 15 on average for this thing to go off the tracks.
That's right.
So
that's how we like it, baby.
Shane, you know why it goes off? Well, hold on. You know why it goes off the tracks, right?
I don't think this was my fault last time, because what happened last time, we got talking about the transfer portal. I don't know how it got started, but I'm throwing stuff at the wall, just my initial thoughts. I didn't sit down and break this whole thing down. So it's on Twitter, taking a little bit of flack. Some people agree. So I'm a reasonable guy. I've had a chance to think about this. So I just want to bring up a couple of points. Number one, I still stand with, if you transfer, it is a year. However, if a head coach leaves, you can leave. Okay, I'm reasonable.
Are we going to spend the whole show on this again?
No, I just want about 2 minutes.
Because Shane, you got toasted on Twitter, bro. People come at you like a honey badger.
Hey, and that's why what I'm saying is I'm getting judged on initial thoughts with not a whole lot of thought process to it. I didn't realize.
But you're kind of standing by what you said. You're kind of saying people should still
I am standing by. There's got to be I don't want to call it a punishment. I don't know if the right word is consequence.
Hey, Shane, I got a question. One question quick?
Yeah.
What if Shane Sparks got picked up by ESPN from Big Ten? Should he have to sit out a year?
I will tell you this. I have contracts. I have a contract with the Big Ten. It's non-exclusive. It's that simple. And Ben, you surprised me a little bit because you and I agree on so much, probably not to dig too deep into this, but politically, you and I think are on the same page quite a bit. We both believe in self-responsibility. Yeah. It's not always somebody else's fault. And one thing that I've noticed in this transfer conversation with you guys is it's all about the student athlete, which is, I get it. Again, I'm reasonable. It's got to be a good system like this. It can't be like this either way. And I'm a little bit surprised, Ben, that you are so diehard for the student athlete. If you leave, there's got to be something that happens. It's got to be in the best interest of everybody. And let me just throw this out there too. The easy thing to say is, what if the coach leaves? To me, it's one of the most thrown out things there is in this debate. I got news for you guys, and I haven't done the research, and I could, but I think we'll all get it. When you look at the top 20, 25 programs in the country, how often does the head coach leave? Because I can tell you this, speaking for the Big Ten, they rarely leave. When you look at these top coaches, they rarely leave. I'm a little bit surprised that it's so like the student athlete. These guys are lied to, this and that. Guys, I hate to tell you this, and I will repeat this. Some of this stuff is real life, and you got to figure it out. I want to throw this out there real quick. I'm a little over the place. I had a really good conversation yesterday with a good friend of mine who has a son that wrestles in Division I. And you know what he told me? He goes, when your kid goes on a visit, have him hang out with the backups. Have him hang out with the backups and see how that goes. Because, Ben, when you talk about a rosier picture, I would also throw this in there. It's like people have different expectations. You've got to do your due diligence as an like you got to do. This is hard. I'm not debating it. These are hard decisions. Nobody's debating that. But with that being said, is you got to really do your due diligence. And I don't have a son or a child that's a Division I athlete. But if I did, I'd be talking. I would find out. I'd want to talk to people that had kids in the program, parents that had kids that were in the program. And then I would try to find parents of kids who were in the program and left. Like I would really, you got to do the best you can. And I would say this too, and this is a little bit harsh, because the other thing when I think about this transfer, do you guys know how many guys? I don't know this. How many wrestlers currently are in the transfer portal? I have no idea. Hundreds. Okay. In football, I think there's thousands of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Outside of this. Take the NIL out of it, okay? How many starters leave? How many starters transfer?
I would be curious.
15 a year, 15 to 20
not
a year.
Many. Not many.
I don't know if that's true, Shane. Because do you think what if a team is 30 on the roster, 33% are starters because you got 10 starters. So right, the percentage of wrestlers 2 starters is already relatively small. So. If the wrestlers in the portal was 33% starters or somewhere around there, then it would be, kind of reflective of what the teams are made of.
So not a lot of starters transfer, Ben.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that. I don't
disagree.
Think that to be, I don't know that to be true. Well, you don't have the stats. I don't have the stats, and so no, I'm not willing to say you're right.
Do a quick thing in your mind, and I'm just.
Well, 4 All-Americans just went to Michigan.
Why?
4.
And again, I'm going to be
that's
very
4.
careful.
2 from North Dakota State. That's 6. I mean, I'm going to get up there quick
here. But the main guys that transferred, I think there's an assumption, right or wrong, that it was financial, which I don't blame it. I get it. Like, I would never blame a guy for doing that. Okay. But there's got to be like, if you want to do that, then you got to give something up. The other thing, too, is, and I heard this last night, and this is a little bit harsh, but it was interesting that I heard this on social media. And the guy was talking about football, but you know what? You know how he described the transfer portal? Non-competitors. Non-competitors.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
You're on a team. You don't start.
I'm looking at the transfer portal, and I think there's probably somewhere around 30% starters. Just kind of scrolling through, I would say 30%. So yeah, I don't think I'm wrong on that one. I think it's reflective.
That seems awful high to me.
It's not. I'm looking through it. I really think it's probably right around 33%, 30%.
I mean, the coach can spin it as non-competitors, but Joe Burrow transferred. It's like maybe one of the greatest college quarterback performances of all time. Now one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's a lot of impact players are transferring.
Yeah. So
I'm definitely thinking. I'm looking at the. It's definitely 33%. It's definitely good kids. Hold on, but because you had a long time now. I think if I want the perfect solution, I think some type of employment contracts where they had kind of a buyout due to NIL would be, if you're signing somewhere else due to NIL and it has to be open for everyone to see, like say an NFL contract, an MLB contract, I could deal with that. That'd be fine for me.
Okay, yeah. So you're in agreement that there's got to be a consequence and you just can't be leaving every time. Okay.
Yeah, but obviously if a kid's a walk-on and he's not getting any money and he wants to leave, right, he shouldn't have a buyout. He's not getting anything from the institution.
Yeah.
If he's getting absolutely zero from the institution?
Yeah, or, books, a couple $100, almost nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to admit that's ridiculous if you're not getting any money, or it's like, expensive colleges. It's like routinely $20,000 a year.
Sure.
You prove yourself
way more, Christian. 20,000's on the low end now.
Conservatively.
I'm advising.
Well, hold on.
Sure.
But even if it's conservatively $20,000 a year, it's very obvious that if that school doesn't appreciate you enough to, reward you financially, you should be able to look elsewhere. And I think look elsewhere without penalty.
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to prove that I'm reasonable on this thing.
Reasonable.
But
the coach line about non-competitors is just patently false in wrestling,
that's
just coach spin from probably a coach that doesn't like the transfer portal. 100%.
I saw it on Instagram, and I can't remember who. I saw it on Instagram last night. So I'm like, man, this was interesting, and it was on the football side of things. And that is one. I mean, the truth is, I'm not saying it's 100% of people in that transfer portal. Let me just end with this. I think sometimes, too, with what happens is, and this is maybe a different topic, but I understand, you want the bright lights of Division I, and I get it, but I just think some of these kids, there is nothing wrong with wrestling in Division II or Division III. I think that's another interesting topic where
I agree.
You see these kids going to. Let me ask you this, Ben. How do you have those conversations? I mean, you have so many great.
I just had that conversation a couple times the other day. Well, hey, one thing Jason Bryan said in the YouTube chat also is that these transfers are being made worse by the extra year, right? The excess year that people are having.
Yes.
That is making it look worse, which I think so. I think that'll probably be fixed in a few years. No, as far as wrestling in college, I think wrestling in college is great at any level as long as you have a good experience because you have a great coach. And yes, some of these kids who are chasing down D1, who are maybe walk-on or low scholarship type guys, and Christian, when you said 20,000, in Wisconsin's more than 20,000, and if my guys go out of state, I don't know that they can find anywhere for 20,000. I think that's really unlikely. I think it's going to be significantly more. I think I looked at Northwestern one time. It was 75 or something wild. So I have, and I just tell them this up front. I don't feel like I can offer you advice to put yourself $200,000 in debt, $150,000 to $200,000 in debt to go chase a wrestling dream. I would feel like a bad person. I would feel like I'm not doing my job as a wrestling coach to tell you to go chase a dream to put yourself $200,000 in debt by the time you're 22 or 23. And this is not a good thing for me to tell you, right? So it's if you're a borderline D1 guy and you can find a D2 program who's really going to value you and give you a good scholarship and pay for a lot of your college, I'd do that. I would do that 100%. Or Wisconsin, we're lucky. We have a lot of in-state Division III colleges who have really good coaches who do a really good job, and the price of college is reasonable because you're staying in-state and they're smaller schools. So it's I'm really advised against, and from the sake of, hey, especially if your parents aren't going to help you pay for it, dude, it's going to be $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's $200,000. Do the math.
And now we got to throw the plug in. We also have a D2 school. Coach Becker doing a great job at UW Parkside, the home of Who's Number One next week.
Are you going, Shane?
You know what? I would normally go to this.
You're backing out.
I got a football game at Cincinnati. Otherwise, I'd be there.
Okay.
Or
otherwise,
not
I'd
a
be
real
there.
wrestling fan.
I'll be watching it though. Who's Number One? I think Who's Number One is. I love that event. I think that event is so freaking cool.
Well, love is a verb, Shane, and if you really loved it, you would be there. So, fake love. We don't need it. All right.
So the portal stuff, guys, I'm reasonable. I'm open. Of course, now that'll live on Twitter forever that Shane Sparks is the old man yelling off the lawn. I'm just saying it's just got to be one of these deals. And I think we all came to an agreement. There just got to be, you just can't be, it can't be the Wild West.
I'll just say we agreed so we can move on. Because this Iowa stuff, a strange development. We've been, we've had, everyone knows the names now at this point, and we've just been kind of twiddling our thumbs, all right, when are they going to announce? When are they going to announce? And then they make an announcement, and they basically say, we're going to not give you any of the names. We're appealing the entire thing, basically, and so we're still left without the, I guess you could say, the Iowa aspect of acknowledging who's out for how long, etc. So it was sort of strange, and it kind of makes me wonder, are we going to be talking about this well into the season? And here's the thing where I'm like, is this a mistake to not just say, hey, it was these guys, here's the current penalty, we are fighting this, we do not agree with this, but it's these wrestlers and football players. Whereas now, every duel, until the season starts, every duel, every little thing, it's just going to be discussed and scrutinized. Where was this wrestler? Where was that wrestler? Why wasn't he in the lineup? And it's just going to be I think, if they let this go into the season, I think it would become a really big distraction for the team and the program. Whereas you could get it done now and have the names out there and, what is it, August?
Control the narrative?
Yeah, a little bit. But, maybe they really think a lot of these guys are going to get off. And if that's the reality, if one of the guys, and so maybe I'm talking myself out of it, because if one of the guys ends up, the appeal works and there's no penalty, then you just keep that person's name completely out of the public narrative of someone who was gambling. Ben, you're muted for some reason. I don't know why, but you were trying to interrupt me, so I was glad of it for that moment. Yeah, no, I can't hear him now.
So, kind of for maybe people who didn't see, tell people exactly what Iowa did say.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so the University of Iowa and UI Athletics Department have been working cooperatively with NCAA student-athlete reinstatements have to determine the eligibility of student-athletes who are involved in sports wagering. So Iowa releases this statement a couple days ago, but basically no new information because they said back in May that they were going through an investigation with 26 student-athletes across 5 different sports. So more or less, we basically didn't learn any new information.
Ben, go.
A little malfunction here. Well, guys, what's the problem with releasing the names? Everyone thinks this ruling is dumb. I mean, I think we interviewed 100 people and we said, hey, these Iowa guys, they bet for Iowa in the Iowa State game or something to that effect, or should college athletes be allowed to gamble on not their sporting events, but other sporting events? Everyone would just say yes. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Except maybe Shane. He'd be the 1 out of 100.
Christian says no, too.
Anthony Cassiope made some bets. Drake Iowa made some bets. Some Iowa guys made. What's the big deal? It shouldn't be a suspension.
Well,
is it the rule?
It's a dumb rule. Don't get me fired up.
I'm just saying.
Listen, hey, you know what I got excited about? This is you brought this up, JD. Reggie Bush is now suing the NCAA for defamation.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, after what Johnny Manziel came out with, sue him big time. This is ridiculous. I don't think any of these guys should be suspended. It's the most preposterous thing that I've ever heard. What are we doing here? Let's just put the names out there. Say the NCAA is ridiculous.
Ben, they get all the. Listen, I don't think it's preposterous that you wouldn't want college athletes gambling on college sports.
I think you agreed with us when we had this discussion a month ago.
I don't think I agreed that they should be able to gamble.
You disagree.
Listen, I think if an Iowa wrestler wants to bet on the Super Bowl, I don't think that's a problem. If they're betting on Iowa football,
if they're betting for Iowa football, what's the problem?
It's
not against.
It's a weird deal. And what are we gonna? And does every bet just go through the NCAA? How do you even police that?
Well, obviously they found out somehow. They must look through the accounts.
Yeah, but I mean they're not going to do it. Listen, it's simple. You have rules for your kids, okay? And they don't always understand them, but you're supposed to follow.
This is not a good rule.
But hold on,
I'm telling you, this is dumb.
And they're told in no uncertain terms, this is what you can and can't do. And all these kids know. They all know. It is repeated and repeated and repeated. And so the fact that you don't think it's a good rule, it's well, okay, so follow them. Doesn't matter. There's dumb rules in wrestling. You can't just say.
The YouTube chat said you did agree with us last month. P.S.
Well, to what degree?
He can change his mind. I mean, I've changed my mind on stuff. It's okay.
This stance the entire time.
I think this has been my stance. If YouTube commenters can say what they want.
They said they got the footage. They can bring the footage.
Pull it. It's not that complicated to me. It's like, you know the rules. There's rules in wrestling you probably don't agree with. I think are
what rule?
The grounded rule. Oh, so I don't follow the grounded
dumb.
rule. I actually get I get a step out because I don't
get a point.
I don't
really
agree
should.
with it. But
if it's in my practice room,
it
I'm giving
doesn't
myself
work that
a point.
way. In the real world, it doesn't work that way. And in NCAA, there's maybe some rules you don't want to follow, but that's the rule, and so
That's
follow it.
No, I'm not saying it's not the rule, but I'm saying, like, listen, if I was a coach, I'd be like, hey, these rules are dumb. Here's who violated these dumb rules. Hopefully, at some point, the NCAA will get their act together. I mean, we got a free-for-all going on. Everyone can get any money from the NIL, but you can't gamble $20. Like, get lost, NCAA. It's so ridiculous.
Ben, I can't believe that you think this is so crazy.
Now, if they knew Caitlin Clark was hurt and they bet against Iowa, okay, I see an issue here. There's problems there.
This is one. You're right, Ben. This is one I am pretty black and white on. No gambling. It's
Why?
just
What's wrong with gambling?
Ben, I'm gonna use one of your lines.
Tell me what's wrong.
So you did say this. You're like 16, 17-year-old kids making bad decisions when it comes to recruiting and stuff. I don't know how much smarter you are at 20, right? I mean, number one, you got to be 21 years old. That was part of the problem, I believe. Some of these guys weren't even 21, so that makes it illegal. So I just think that this is one. As I can tell you this as a parent, gambling is, you got to be careful with that stuff. I mean, this stuff can ruin people. Like, you got to be. I wouldn't want, if I'm a parent, I don't want my 20-year-old kid gambling. That would make me nervous. Like, let's just go out and work the old-fashioned way and make some money. Like, and that's a different topic. But
Puritan
shame. You don't want kids gambling. And you mentioned before,
Shane, do you not gamble?
Very little. And I'm so
careful. We got you. You're suspended.
I haven't, and it's been years. I mean, because I quite frankly, I'm kind of an addicted personality. Like, I got so much respect for this stuff. This is the last thing I need. But you brought something up, Ben, about, if so-and-so's betting on their own team, real quick. That's the thing that, Pete Rose gambled on his own team. Here's how that works.
He should have been able to do that. If you want to bet on yourself, let's go. Come on, that's called confidence.
Here's what happens in baseball. If I'm Pete Rose and I have a bet tonight, and I'm not going to bet tomorrow or the next day, but I'm betting tonight, I'm going to use my bullpen differently. I'm going to manage the game differently, and it's going to affect the integrity of the game tomorrow or the next day moving forward. That's what happens there. The way you manage a game
that's a good point with baseball.
based on how you gamble. Maybe a little bit different from wrestling, but maybe. But no gambling.
Well, football, though, for sure.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, and there's probably so many easy ways to do it. I mean, can you imagine, like, you're a running back and it's just like, be a yard short? I mean, you got to make it look good, but people aren't scrutinizing every little play typically.
Did you see the story about the Iowa football player who was betting the under in Iowa games, which should not be allowed?
Oh, that's not good. That's not kosher.
This is tremendous, though. Somewhere. He scored. He was a receiver. He scored the touchdown that hit the over himself.
What an idiot.
I know, right? It's also hilarious because everybody and their mother was betting the Iowa under last year.
Yeah, because their offense,
7 points a game.
I know they were scoring a ton of points.
When you put financial incentives into things, there becomes room for shenanigans, and the purity of the sport is put in jeopardy. Period. That's a fact.
But isn't there always financial incentives, Christian?
The Alabama head coach of baseball bet against his own team.
That should not be allowed.
It's not allowed, Ben. You need to keep gambling.
Good.
The coaches and athletes need to stay. Listen, if you want to wrestle, if you want to play football in college, Division I, you are making a choice to not gamble. Yeah. If you really want to gamble, and gambling is really important to you, and it's not a concession you're willing to make, then be a normal student. But you made a choice to be a college wrestler, a college football player. So accept your choices. Don't try to play it both ways. It's simple. Have accountability for your decisions.
No. Listen.
This one's black and white.
Black and white.
They know it.
Freshman orientation. Freshman orientation. They're going over this with the team. They go over with the team every single year. They said, not going to follow that rule.
So, do you think the Iowa wrestlers should be punished to the full extent of the rule, aka Death penalty.
Now
You're
let's
done.
get down to it, Christian Piles.
That isn't. Yeah, I think that is a whole year.
Pressure.
I think is a
No,
lot.
no.
But
If they
here's-
bet on their team,
hold on. Listen.
death penalty.
No,
Listen.
you answer the question.
I
Christian.
can't answer because neither of you shut up. How could I? Every time I start talking, you interrupt me and tell me to answer the question.
Answer the question already.
So, do I think that the team should get the death penalty?
No, the individual who
The
bet on.
individual
If it is proven
yes.
they bet on Iowa athletics.
So here's why
That's
it's
the rule.
interesting in wrestling. Here's why it's interesting in wrestling. Well, one, the rules are being rewritten as we speak and have been rewritten throughout.
But
Whoa,
when
let's
they
get
gambled,
down
this
to
was
it.
the rule.
Rules are rules.
When they gambled, this was the rule.
Why
no?
can't I continue? I've sat here quietly the entire time. You guys are just like children.
Well, it was mostly Shane. It was mostly Shane talking. Shane talked for like 12 minutes straight.
So my thought is I don't like the idea of a super harsh penalty, but in wrestling, it's interesting because you tell a good wrestler, a guaranteed starter, an All-American, all right, you're out for the first 10 events, whatever, 12. But as long as you can wrestle in conference and NCAAs, it's really no penalty, right? You get the full thing. The whole point of the season you still get to do. That's why for wrestling, having it be a full year is an actual penalty, whereas if you gave a couple dual suspension, it's kind of like, well, big deal. I mean, look at some of these teams. They have guys sitting duels all the time anyways. How often, look at some of the Big Ten rosters and find some of the high-powered Big Ten teams or national teams that wrestled that lineup. How many times they wrestled that lineup, their best 10. So if you are actually trying to have a punishment that makes people not want to gamble, then you almost have to do the full year. Otherwise, it's totally pointless. And if and also, you're asking me to weigh in on how much they should be punished when I don't know who bet, how much, how often. But
it says in the rules, if you bet on your own team, your own school, organization, not even just wrestling, but if you bet on other sports, you face not just 1 year, but potential loss of eligibility
So
forever.
what does that tell you, JD?
Well, there you go.
JD, listen to yourself.
I know.
JD, every debate, I love you, man. I love you. But every time there's a rule, the NIL stuff, you're like, oh, these athletes should get to this. And now the gambling stuff, these poor athletes getting, a rule is a rule. If you don't want to have the rule, a consequence, don't have the rule. Listen to what you just, answer me this, JD. How can you just say what you did and defend that anybody shouldn't get punished to what the rule is? You can't be you're moving the goalpost halfway through. Here are the rules. You break the rules, but now, even though the rules said if you do this, you're out. I mean, that's not fair? I can't believe you can't gamble, guys. If I'm going into coach speak right now in the locker room, guys. There's no gambling. Does everybody understand what the deal is here? Do we all understand? Whether we like it or we don't, I want everybody to know. If we gamble and we get caught, everything you've worked for, all the years that you've invested in this, it could be gone. Do you want to risk that? I sure wouldn't.
It's simple.
I think they should make this a PSA for student athletes. They should just cut this clip.
Well, you can't do it, guys.
Repeat in the locker rooms.
Christian said it a little more calmer than I did, a little bit more eloquently than I did. These are the rules. Whether you like them or not, this is the way it is.
It's not like American citizens can't do it.
You are freaking angry this morning.
Because there's an excuse for everything.
Shane, what happened? Why are you so mad this morning? What happened?
Sometimes it's just there's got to be accountability. These are the things we talk about in wrestling. What makes this sport great? We're going to teach you how to be accountable and be committed and this and this and this and this. This is what we're talking about. You got to be able to execute rules sometimes.
Here's what's bull crap about it. Here's what is messed up about the whole situation in Iowa. Is they are the only state that is getting this level of scrutiny and investigation. So this didn't happen in Pennsylvania or California or Texas or all the other states where you can gamble It's happening only in Iowa, and that's not cool.
And that should be mentioned.
Why is it happening? I don't
Because
even remember.
the Iowa DCI is the one that found this, not the NCAA. This was placed in the NCAA's lap, which should also be mentioned in the fact that maybe these guys get off with lighter suspensions. The NCAA doesn't want all this negative publicity about their athletes gambling. They didn't want this at all. It was the Iowa DCI that was trying to crack down on underage gambling in Iowa and stumbled across a bunch of athletes' names going, oh, snap, we know these people. These are NCAA athletes. Hey, NCAA,
really?
Here you go.
So that's why it's just totally unique to the state of Iowa. And here is an actual counterpoint that you didn't make. It's like, okay, if these are the rules, they need to be enforced uniformly, right? You can't just have one state where, okay, the NCAA obviously doesn't care about this. A literal investigation had to be dropped in their lap and say, look at this, look at what your athletes are doing, for them to say, okay. Well, you can't just, this is where I do agree that it could be a little unnecessarily harsh or punitive when, yeah, everyone has the same rules, but it's kind of like the cheating in wrestling rules or recruiting cheating. It's like the rules are only as important or valuable as the enforcement. And if it's only getting enforced in one place in the country, I don't think that's cool. And I don't think that
it's
Iowa
like a speeding ticket.
Yeah. Wait, what?
This to me again, it's almost like if it's a rule, if I'm speeding 55-mile-an-hour speed zone in one place and I'm going 70 and I get caught, and then somebody does it 10 minutes later, there's no cop there. Some of this stuff is if you get caught, you get caught. I mean, it can't be
cheating. Rules violations.
But the bottom line is you got caught doing it. I'm not saying you can't say, well, it's happening in Ohio, but they're not investigating it there as hard. Therefore, in Iowa, they shouldn't get punished as much. And I want to make one thing clear, because this will end up on social media. I want to make one thing really clear here. I'm not picking on Iowa. This is a overall
Hawkeye hater Shane
comment. This is not me, because I don't like this. Hell, I don't like this at all. It's a bad situation. But let me repeat 100 times for everybody. I'm talking general. I'm not picking on any school, any fan base, any states. But Christianitis, I mean, you can't say, well, because these guys got investigated harder, that way the penalty should be lighter in comparison to other states.
Hey, Shane, whenever I get pulled over for speeding, I just tell them everyone does it. Let me off, and they usually let me off.
What? That doesn't work.
So, Christian, I don't know what that.
Yeah, I get a lot of tickets. I've tried it all. Actually, I've never tried that one. I've tried it all.
You want to know one time I got off my ticket? I'll give you this one. You want to try it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you 2 funny speeding ticket stories, because I have a lot. I think they don't give speeding tickets to older people, because since I've got older, I don't get nearly as many as I did when I was younger. They pull me over and they're like, here you go. Kind of let me go. One, I was going to the Mizzou wrestling reunion. I crossed the Missouri border from Illinois. I was going fast. One cop pulls me over and she said, do you know why I pulled you over? They always ask that question. It's such a dumb question, because it's like, yeah, I know, I go fast. And I said, because I'm so GD good looking. And she started dying laughing, and then just said, all right, get out of here. She had no idea how to react to it.
Wow.
It was a good one.
I never used that one either.
Someone told me they taped a $100 bill to the back of the driver's license as a bribe for the officer, and they would get out of speeding tickets. I'm like, hell, can't hurt. I'm gonna try it. And this very large woman in South Carolina pulled me over, and I gave her my ID, and she just flipped. She goes, "What is this?" And I'm like, yeah, I just want to keep my extra $100 just in case, I need it at some point.
Yeah.
She didn't take it, and she wrote me a ticket.
Did she laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an actual crime to bribe an officer.
Well, no one's going to see it.
Boys will be
cash.
boys. Other than the
Can't
cops.
transact. Can't transact.
Other than the ones that enforce the law, no one would see it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can. I guess we can get off this to an extent, but I guess I would just agree to disagree with Shane because I don't know, something doesn't sit well about one state being isolated, 2 schools, maybe 3, which I haven't heard anything. You and Doug Schwab's got him on the straight and narrow. Parker Catkeisen said, "Look,
Christian, did they
if I
break
find
the
out you're
rules or
gambling,
not?
I'm gonna beat you down."
Christian, did they break the? You're on. You cannot be on both sides. You cannot. You're on both sides of the argument here. One minute you're
Take
saying,
that, Christian. We're
one
watching
minute you're
you.
saying these are the Christian. Listen to this. One minute you're saying these are the rules, and you go off on that, and then you're going, well, the fact that they're getting. The fact that this one state's getting investigated, you can,
Okay.
The bottom line is they broke the rule.
All right, here's this. All right, Shane. Then tell me this: NCAA does allegedly does drug testing, right?
I don't think they really do, though.
Okay, but let me go.
Because they never catch anyone.
Let's say this: what if they only NCAA champions, and Iowa's got 3, and Penn State's got 4, and Cornell's got 2, whatever. And what if they only drug tested the Iowa wrestlers that won? Would that be okay? Because, but according to you, that would be okay.
Ridiculous. First of all, that would never happen. That I mean,
it's literally happening.
That is what's happening with the gambling thing.
Christian, I would tell you this: if I'm going to put myself in as a wrestling coach here, which I'm not, but I'm going to pretend to be. I am responsible for my guys. Okay? If these are the rules, we're following them.
Did you take pre-workout this morning?
He's on NO Explode.
You are freaking
I'm kidding. I feel like I'm like in the Twilight Zone. I am not. If these are the rules, we're following them. Especially if we don't. Especially these super stiff consequences, which they are. If these are the rules, we are responsible for ourselves. We're not worried about any. But these are the rules, and we know this. If we get caught for whatever reason, we're going to get in trouble. So to answer your question, Christian, to give you a direct answer, I don't care who the NCAA is testing. I'm responsible for my house. It's kind of like Christian, and Caleb, he'll get a little bit older, and you'll hear this one at some point. We all used it. Well, what about?
None of us are speaking. No, hold on. None of us. You keep asking as like we're speaking from the coaches or the athlete's perspective, and we're not, right? We're speaking from commentators' perspective. We're commentating on this situation. So yeah, we are not actually having to take the responsibility because it is not us in the situation. It is us looking at the situation and making judgments on what we think. Is it fair? Not fair. Obviously, your take is it's fair. Yeah. Our take is
it doesn't matter.
Not
doesn't
fair
matter
for
if it's
different
fair.
reasons.
It doesn't matter, Ben, if it's fair.
No, that's our job right now is to commentate on a situation.
I can say, fair?
Do I think this is fair or not? Yes, that is what I'm supposed to do right now, Shane.
We're talking about, okay, that's fine, Ben. Is it fair or not? Is it fair? Hey, I'll agree with you, Ben. It's not fair. There you go. I agree with you. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, though, it's the rule.
But it's also different. I agree with Ben and Shane, but CP's straddling because it's
not
different.
at all.
Absolutely not. CP.
Absolutely not.
It's different because this was plopped in the NCAA's lap. They're not out. They basically said, we're not. It's impossible for the NCAA to go into the financials of every student athlete, whereas it's very easy to drug test your 10 NCAA champions. This wasn't a witch hunt by the NCAA. This was brought to them. It would be like if the UFC, if USADA came to the UFC and said, hey, this guy tested positive for steroids.
Ben.
Although it's not like that because that's a performance-enhancing drug and it's not a performance-enhancing thing. But so I wanted to be clear that I don't think it's in the same vein. But it would be like that. That's different. And then if the UFC was like, oh, well, we're not going to punish this person even though they break the rules because we aren't caring about these people either. Yes.
Okay.
You're responsible for yourself, guys. I mean, you got to follow the rules.
Yeah, but
guys,
we're not talking about it from that. Oh, my gosh.
One word. Guys, my final sentence, my final thing I'm going to say on this. Somebody told me this a long time ago, and I'll be honest, it applies to my own life, and that's why I like it. Okay? Bad decisions have consequences. I'm going to repeat this. This is everybody listening. This should be on social media.
Let me write this down.
I'm serious, Christian. You can use this in Taylor. It's this. What I'm going to tell you right now is the best line of the show. Every bad decision has consequences. And you know what sucks about consequences? You don't get to pick them. Bad decisions have consequences, and you don't get to pick them.
Mic drop.
Shane, you're giving major youth pastor vibes right now, and I think it could have been a calling.
Just telling you. Guys, I'm going through some stuff in my own life that it's not fair. I'm telling you, if I went on these rants, you'd be like, you're getting screwed, Shane. That's ridiculous. All this other stuff. You know what? There are consequences from some decisions I've made, and they suck. I don't get to pick them.
Yeah,
bad decisions have consequences.
Shane, we're not speaking in the first person as if we are the ones being punished. We are not being punished. We did not do these things. We don't need to bear responsibility for them. Our job on FRL is to comment on situations and what we think of them, whether it's a wrestling match, whether it's a recruit, or whether it's an NCAA ruling. Our job is to say, what do we think of these things, right? So you're acting as if we can only speak if we are the person being punished, but that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, you don't think it's fair. You think it's stupid, preposterous. There we go. I get it out.
Preposterous.
And that's fine.
It's a great word.
That's fine. No, we're all getting our 2 cents in.
Okay.
JD doesn't believe in rules.
I really wanted to do some tiers. You know what's not fair? I thought we were going to get to do some tiers today, and here we are, 41 minutes into the show. I don't know if we're getting any tears in.
There have been plenty of tears from you, Ben. Listen.
Damn it! I got to freaking. I'll be right back. Let Shane rant about 80s music for a second. I can get my computer charger.
Yes.
I'm an idiot.
All right. All right, Shane.
This has been great with you guys. This is good stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. But it's a situation I feel really. I mean, you never want to see these things with anybody. I mean, you don't want to see them. Hey, before guys, we got to give the good to see Sammy Sasso appears to be on the on the up. That was man. I mean, that's the stuff that makes you sick when you see about that stuff.
Totally crazy story. It does sound. I haven't heard an update super recently, but you see, I mean, he's posting a lot on social media, and seems to be certainly on the road to recovery. So that's fantastic. Let's do a question here. Hey, you know what we need to do? We got to put a date on the calendar when we're going to do the Commando movie review, Shane. So we got to find a date. Let me look at calendar. September.
With a lot of breath here.
Good job. Wow. I thought you were in such great shape.
Can we move it to October?
October, yeah.
What's October?
I'll tell you what's in October. Our Commando review.
We're moving it in October?
We need. It's going to take months to watch this movie, Ben. You can't just do it.
I think if we don't put it on the calendar soon, we ain't going to do it for real.
We're going to do it.
We'll do it.
Hey, are we doing a live FRL next week, Christian? In Wisconsin?
Oh, that would be cool.
Is JD coming?
I will not be there.
Yeah.
Boo.
So
Sparks ain't showing up, so it would just be me and you.
Well, Thursday I'm flying to Wisconsin, and I will see you that day. I wonder if we could do a special Friday.
Christian, you've been to Wisconsin a few times before, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madison's great. I've never really been to. Actually, I've only really been to Madison.
No one's been to Parkside. It's off the highway. It's kind of like secluded.
Yeah.
It's in Kenosha technically, but it's not like really in Kenosha. It's kind of interesting where they put the university.
Okay. Well, I'm interested to see it.
Standing alone by itself.
Okay, so we're thinking October. We'll get a more specific date, but right now, the entire month of October's available for.
I'll keep it open.
Keep it open.
I'm
JD.
sure a few things are going to come up in October that are wrestling related.
Probably, but not as important as Commando. So why don't you relax?
Pete Gothard already watched it months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it years ago. One of the first rated R movies I watched, although I think it might have been like remember how your buddies would like record it from the TV?
Yeah.
I think it might have been that, and you're like fast forwarding through the commercials, so it's not really rated R when it's on the TV.
That's true.
For me, it's
Roadhouse hits different on TBS than it does.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When the guy gets his throat cut.
Whoa.
Yeah. Serious stuff. Sorry. Let's get to questions. We got a lot of them, and only 15 minutes to get through them. Oh, actually, before the question reminded me that two new portal additions, Jacob Cardenas and Josh Humphreys. I tweeted this, but if you didn't see, Jacob Cardenas, and if you don't know about the Ivy rule, you get 4 years there. And if you have another year of eligibility, you get 4 years in school. And if you use all 4, or if you have one remaining, like many do because of the 2021 year, you have to transfer. So that's why Cardenas is transferring.
And no penalty on this. No penalty on this stuff.
No penalty.
Which I'm good on. I agree with.
Josh Humphreys also in the portal, but and an interesting thing with him, he doesn't necessarily have another year, but if he does have another year, I guess he wants to leave.
He's applying for like medical hardships and stuff like that. But
someone told me he got turned down a couple. I read he got turned down a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, when we looked at his seasons, so we Kozak and I teamed up on Andrew Spey about this because he's like, he's gonna get another year, and we're like, when we looked at it, he wrestled a lot in a lot of years, and so we just kind of counted him out. We're like, well, I don't know how he would, but then again, another common theme that we talk about is everyone gets a year, so maybe he will.
Yeah.
All right, this question is just for Shane. You're in a store, not really, but I want Shane to answer first. You're in a store and a guy walks in with a knife to rob the place. What wrestling move do you use to take down the robber? What hold do you put him in until the cops get there? And funny story, this guy's dad once drove a double armbar on a robber until both the guy's shoulders dislocated. Dang.
Stop.
Dad's a
beast. That's a lie.
Oh, you just don't know how to run them bars tight.
All I know is it ends in a coffee grinder. That's all I got.
Coffee grinder. What move is the coffee grinder?
Well, I think it definitely it's where you go wrist and head and armpit.
Yeah.
Wrist?
Grab the wrist. Head
like
a head lever.
Top position.
No, it's
head lever. Yep.
It's a coffee grinder.
Okay. A head lever. Got it.
I think it's definitely an arm drag because you got to address the wrist.
Ben,
you don't want them stabbing you.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna go. Swear to God, I was gonna go arm drag to end in a coffee grinder. So I get him reaching, arm drag, flick, get behind him.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like that.
I don't trust anything technical in that moment. Like, I'm gonna, like, I could really, like, I'm that high level. If I think the guy's like open, I'll just run into him really, really hard. And
but if you double him, he can stab
honestly,
you in the back though, like this.
Hold on. Why do I care if a place gets robbed? Well, I'm gonna get stabbed, so a place doesn't get robbed. It's like
now,
if my family's in danger, okay, then we're going,
Let's
Tasmanian devil on this guy. But I don't know, guys in the frickin' Buc-ee's. You know what? Hold up, take the jerky, take a little bit of cash. Buc-ee's is gonna be fine.
They're throwing the good guys in jail these days.
Grab some TikToks on the way
out there.
Yeah.
Man, I do sometimes get in this algorithm of like would-be criminals getting like destroyed in convenience stores. It's sort of disturbing.
Did you see the one where the sick guys they beat the guy with the
stick? Yeah, he's coming all the way back. Boom, just yeeting this guy with a rod.
They him so bad.
Yeah.
If you steal from somebody, anything that happens to you, again, consequences. I can't help you.
Cut their hand
But
off.
I don't feel sorry for anything that happens to you.
Wow. I think there's some definite if you
don't steal from people.
I'd say if you're holding a gun or a weapon, then it's kind of like all bets are off. But if it's just a normal, you're pickpocketing some Smarties. Is that what you get? Whatever happens. If you pickpocket some Smarties, Shane.
When it comes to stealing, I'm pretty black and white on this one too. Here's what I would tell you, Christian. I didn't tell you to hold your breath for an hour or not eat for 2 months. Don't steal. Like, I think that is just don't steal from people. Like, don't do it.
Most people don't understand that moral tactic, but you guys
They
should
don't.
not.
I mean, you see some of the stuff on social media. It's crazy. people stealing, nothing happens to him. He can't call the cops. Like, I find out one of my kids gets caught stealing.
I think you've been on social media too much, Shane. You need to take a break.
Probably a little
That's
bit too much.
Angry.
I'd agree. You're right on that. You're right.
I hate it. Question. This is a wrestling question. We got second to Iran twice at the U17 level and at the U20 level, and we could possibly get second again at the senior level. We could be third. Does this make you at all worried about America's freestyle trajectory? Russia?
They ain't get points, dude.
What? Come on. We're gonna calculate them.
We got third at U17. We got third at U17 to
Flo loves
AIN. Flo hates Putin.
Nah, not a big fan.
You guys are putting Russia on the scoreboard.
Not putting it on Russia's scoreboard. It's not pretending they don't exist.
The Olympics also doesn't.
Wait, are you sure about the U17s, JD? Because obviously with there's two AINs, which is Belarus and Russia.
Belarus only brought like one or two athletes to.
Are you sure? Because there was like 16 under AIN. I counted.
I'm pretty sure.
So they had to bring at least 6. I'm pretty sure.
Irrelevant. Let's address the question.
Anyways, no, I don't think I'm worried about it. I mean, we have a really, really good developmental system. I think once in a while Iran has a really good team. They're always pretty competitive with us, and I think. I mean, we haven't won U20s and U17s all that much. We've won them some, but no. So I'm not worried about it at all.
So my thought is, Iran is a wrestling superpower in men's freestyle wrestling, and they had a period of time where they were just down. Right, a couple of years they were down. Now they're back up. Now they're back being a superpower again. So it's more about what Iran's doing, which hey, they're back in the conversation. They're back producing a lot of studs. I don't know what happened for that 4 or 5 year gap. It's not like they were terrible, but it was like not the same team. Like the one year they didn't even qualify for the World Cup. They weren't even top 10 at Senior Worlds. That's how far off they fell. Now they're back. It's kind of like, all right, they're back to their regular scheduled program, and they're going to be tough for us to contend with because, I mean, for the obvious reason, but they're well trained. They're always in shape. They have a very unique skill set. So no, it doesn't. It's just all it says. It's just going to be that much harder to win. It's not Russia versus America anymore. It's going to be the three of us, and probably Iran and America are going to continue to look up at Russia more often than not until something changes. But no, our trajectory is good. Like Ben said, our developmental system's good. We're getting more and more high-level guys, in my opinion. We still have some hammers that are going to be around for a while. So I feel great about it.
I do too. Don't overreact after 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about the age group competitions too that we have to realize is, and I'll take the one that's closest to me, but Aiden Sinclair didn't get any points. And he beat the guy that won it 10-2, and just because of a matchup thing, right? There is 0 seeding, and a few of these brackets, like you ended up on the other side, you were going to be in the finals kind of easy. Whereas like it was also like Davino was another one. Davino had a really tough side, and he had a couple really big hammers. And if he would have found another place in the bracket, he could have easily got a medal, right? So there is no seeding at these events, and that is really impactful to the way they score because there is not full wrestlebacks. So if you ended up on the right side, you could be a second or third place guy and get a lot of points kind of easy. Where if you're on the other side and you lose to someone who's really good and they lose to someone who's really good, then you're out and you get like 0 points.
Yeah.
So that's important too to acknowledge.
I think this next question's easy. Which 2023 NCAA champ would be most likely to beat the champ at the weight class above them? Aaron Brooks would be my answer.
Yep, that's a good answer.
Could Yanni beat Austin O'Connor? I think that's a really tough matchup.
That'd be tough. It's possible, but
could Vito beat Alirez? I don't know.
Possible but tough.
Possible but tough. Keegan over Starachi? Another possible but tough.
Yeah.
Could Nino Bonacorsi? Could Nino Bonacorsi beat Mason Paris?
I think unlikely.
That's probably impossible. That would be tough.
I think that's the least likely one, but it is also the largest spread.
Yeah, it's like a ridiculous at that level. Okay, good question there. This is fun for Ben. Does a team consisting of AWA alumni get enough points for a team trophy at this year's NCAAs? their respective colleges would lose their points in this scenario. So Keegan's points go to AWA, not Missouri.
Well, I think next year we could get 20-something from Keegan, 20-something from Parker, 20-something from Mitchell. Mako could be getting in the teens somewhere. So, maybe it's possible. Do we have anyone else that's going to make it run next year?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Is next year 3 or 4 trophies?
I think next year's 3.
Next year's down to 3?
So it's a little tougher.
But Flo is giving trophies for 4th and 5th. Cause
we got to do something.
Dumb number.
Yeah. Guys, let me ask you this. With those trophies, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. My thought on it is, if I'm a college team, it's not about the trophy. It's about where you finish, right? Like, if you gave 4 certificates away, 4 paper certificates, it's fine, right? It wouldn't be like, oh, it's not a trophy. Nobody cares what it is. It's not about the object. It's about the accomplishment. Yes. They should be given 5 certificates away. 5.
It's just the fact that that's where the NCAA cuts it off.
Yeah.
And you get to bring that home and put it in your showcase and show to recruits and fans and whatever. It's like All-American. We cut it off at 8. Like, getting top 12 an amazing accomplishment? Yes, but people care about top 8 because that's where the NCAA says this is our line for quote All-American unquote. It's why it's big to say.
I mean, you wouldn't need any trophies if it's a money thing. Even the little All-American trophies. If it was a certificate, it has the same impact, right? I mean, I don't have any. Ben, I'll ask you. If you had certificates, Ben, instead of little trophies, would you? I mean, if the Hodge Trophy was this, but it said Hodge Trophy,
I don't care. Yeah,
you'd be happy as heck.
No one cares about the physical thing. But yeah, I mean, All-Americans used to be 6, and now it's 8. Funny one, like we celebrate the top 8 at the NCAAs, but then at the Olympics, you only celebrate the top 3. And now there's actually 4, but we celebrate all 4 top 3 guys. It's kind of funny that way. So yeah, it's kind of sometimes arbitrary where they draw the line.
Speaking of third place points, last 5 years, the average score for a third place finish was.
Let me guess. Okay. 84.
Are you kidding me?
I got it. Yes. Let's go.
Literally 84.75.
Holy smokes.
That's insane.
That's nice.
Okay, well, let's do this, Rain Man. I'm going to ask you the highest third place score and the lowest third place score of the last 5 years.
The last 5 years. I'm going to go with, we'll say 98 for the highest, and we'll go 75 for the lowest.
Close. 74 is the lowest, and 103 is the highest.
Oh, all right.
Who are those teams, Christian?
Oklahoma State had the 103 in 2017. They had 8 All-Americans. They had a national champion in Dean Heil. That was a nasty team. That was a team that they put like their whole team in the Big 12 finals. That filthy team. Ridiculous team. And then there were 2 teams as Oklahoma State actually in 2021 had 74 and in 2022. Is that right? Now I'm second guessing myself. But it could be, yeah. So anyway, that can't be right.
Crunch those numbers again.
Yeah, that's wrong. Anyways, but the other part's right. The scores are right. I just may have the wrong teams in there. Anywho. Okay, next we can maybe do one more of these guys.
Oh yeah.
Nick Croninger. Am I crazy for thinking the wrestlers from India wrestle a bit like the USA reps? Why is that? Is it shared competitive values, or some of those wrestlers coming and training in the U.S.? So Bajrang didn't train in the U.S. until after he was world-renowned. And I do think, and this is something that Bracky always brought up, was like the wrestlers from India. That's why we feel like people like Bajrang in America, is because, like, man, he kind of wrestles like an American. He's like really hard-nosed and physical and high-paced kind of guy. But I don't know why. The why is a good question. I don't know why they're.
Why did they choose pace as one of their weapons, right? Because and it's kind of funny to me when you think about it that no other country over there has chosen that, right? Because they all kind of wrestle. All European nations wrestle a real technical, slower pace. And if pace can be such a weapon, as we've seen with some of these Indians or our American guys, why did not one of the European nations say, hey, if we just go really hard, we're going to gas some of these dudes out. Let's do that. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Iran kind of utilizes pace, a lot of their guys.
Yeah, I would say
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all pushing, not a lot of other things. Mostly pushing with underhooks.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. It's a system.
Mm-hmm.
Iran has their
Yeah.
underhook pressure system. Like you said, Russia sometimes tends to be a little bit more slick. So it's just like, that's what you were taught, that's what you teach. And it's just kind of a repeating cycle.
Maybe just that mentality just aligns more with like the Indian, I don't know, culture, right, of sport, and it just makes sense for them too. I don't know, but yeah, they definitely do wrestle.
And India on the come up.
Yeah, they're tough. They're tough. I mean, at the age
But
level,
they do cheat at the age level, because you saw
That is correct.
Spay posted that stat where they had like 4 times as many U17 medalists as they did senior level medalists, and then actually in the airport, I know it was funny. USA didn't buy these. USA wrestlers direct flights, so I had walked past the gate because I was going Turkey to Chicago direct, and they were stopping somewhere, but I guess they were talking to the direct was actually cheaper. I don't know what they were doing, but they were talking to which guy was it? It was the guy who won heavyweight. I don't recall what his country was. Anyways, they said, "What's your birthday?" Right? They're using the translator app, and I guess he said, whatever, November 2004 or something, which is 2 years over the age which you're supposed to be. And then they said, he told me he came back like 20 minutes later with a coach, and he said, "No, my birthday is January 1, 2006, which would actually make him eligible." But he said, "January 1, 2006, that's actually my birthday. I was mistaken earlier when I told you, whatever the birthday was in 2004.
Yes. Age level cheating, not a new thing.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
What you call him?
right?
Carellin talked about. Yeah, it's rampant, except in the U.S. of A. We don't play that. And we don't need to. But we do need to go. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back Monday.
I will be
Monday.
gone.
And then
I might be able to.
This
call in a
guy's
little
road
bit.
tripping.
Oh, where are you going?
Everywhere.
All over, yeah. Like 7 different states.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, going to be hitting a bunch of different colleges. Me and vlogger extraordinaire Tyler are going to be getting some sick content. So
Don't
stay
gas
tuned
him
for
up.
that.
He's just gonna get all cocky when you call him stuff like that.
Have fun, man.
Yeah, it's gonna
Christian,
be sick.
we should not do a show on Thursday and do a live. Me and you do a live show on Friday or something.
Okay. How close?
Next week.
Could I sit next to you in your basement?
I mean, it's just a computer camera. We have to put the mic in the middle, or
That probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
make
it.
it happen.
Tyler's back Monday. We'll plan something. We'll figure something out.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you guys
Guys,
so much for.
always good seeing you guys.
Thank you, Shane. Thank
Hey,
you guys
Shane,
for listening.
Stay away from the gambling tables this weekend. Got it?
Yeah, gambling tables. That's what they call them.
That Ho Chunk Casino there in Green Bay. It's kind of drawing me in.
Yeah, I came
No,
down from
Truck's down by
Bemidji.
you.
No,
Right?
Ho Chunk is the one right by. It's like literally less than a mile from the Green Bay Academy. They actually have a nice hotel attached. So if I go to Green Bay, I stay at that hotel.
What about Oneida?
But I don't go to the
Isn't
casino.
Isn't Oneida up in Green Bay, I thought? Right?
I don't know.
I think
thought it was Ho
Potawatomi is
Chunk.
down by you.
Potawatomi, Ho Chunk. Lots of casinos up here in Wisconsin there, hey.
That sounds good there. Okay, guys, you have a good weekend there. Eat a good walleye.
Peace.
Goodbye.